Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my morning musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I'm the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. I'm sharing with you some thoughts concerning the definition of the day of the Lord. I've shared with you how the New Testament writers tell us repeatedly that they're looking for the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophets or prophecies concerning the day of the Lord. Peter's emphatic about this in Acts chapter 3, 19 through 24, when he says that the restoration of all things which would occur at the parousia of Christ would be in fulfillment of all the prophets from Samuel onward, from Moses, Samuel, all who had ever spoken. And he said they spoke of, quote, these days, unquote, that's his days. Well, so we have the emphatic testimony of the New Testament writers that they're looking for the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecies of the day of the Lord. Now, I'm going to try to make this brief, but I developed this in depth in my book, Like Father, Like Son, on Clouds of Glory, and I'm making a very special offer during this series that if you go to my website, www.eschatology.org or BibleProphecy.com, and you order the book, Like Father, Like Son, and you make a note that you saw the offer on YouTube, I will refund your shipping. Now, I don't have a way to take the shipping off for this special offer, but it will charge you the shipping, and then I will refund it once I get your order, but you must mention that you saw the offer on YouTube. Now, Jesus said, Matthew 16, 27 and 28, in a passage that has perplexed, continues to perplex, scholars and laymen alike, Jesus said, the Son of Man will come in the glory of the Father with his angels, and shall reward every man according to his works. Verily I say unto you, there are some standing here which shall not taste of death until they see the Son of Man coming. Now, we're faced with a tremendous dilemma here. If we're going to talk about a, quote, bodily, physical, literal, visible coming of the Lord. Just recently, I have read, seen attacks on Christianity by all sorts of atheists and unbelievers based upon Jesus' words right here. Now, Jesus said the Son of Man was going to come back in judgment with his angels before all of that first century audience that was standing around him at that time died. I understand there have been all sorts of attempts to negate the power of Jesus' words. And by the way, I address many of those issues right here in my book, Like Father, Like Son. The point of fact is, a simple reading of the text, a contextual reading of the text, demands that Jesus was indeed talking about his coming in judgment before all of that large multitude that was around him at that time died. So here's the dilemma. If Jesus was speaking of a literal, visible, bodily, physical coming of himself out of the sky on a literal cloud with the literal angels, then he failed, because he did not appear literally, visibly, bodily, and physically out of heaven on the clouds before all those people died. I mean, it's just that simple. If, however, we understand his statement, the Son of Man will come in the glory of the Father, which, by the way, scholar after scholar, none of whom are preterist, has taken the position that Jesus was in fact saying he was going to come as the Father had come. I've already shared with you several examples from the Old Testament in which God did in fact, Yahweh, the Father, came in judgment, in flaming fire, with the angels, in judgment. Now here's another very quick text. In John 5, 19 and following, Jesus said, the Son can do nothing of himself, But what he sees the Father do, he will do likewise. He goes ahead in verses 21 to 23, and he says, "From henceforth the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son, that all men might honor the Son as they honor the Father." Do you catch the power of that? Jesus said, "I'm not going to act on my own prerogative, but as I have seen the Father act, as I have seen the Father judge, I'm going to do that in the same way." Well, how had Jesus seen the Father act in judgment before? Oh, he had seen the Father come in judgment of the 10 northern tribes when he came out of heaven and took the 10 northern tribes into captivity by means of the Assyrians. That's how Jesus had seen the Father come. He had seen the Father come in the destruction of Egypt at the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, Ezekiel chapter 30. He had seen the Father come in the destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC, Jeremiah chapter 4, Zephaniah chapter 1. He had seen the Father come in judgment in the great day of wrath in the destruction of Edom, Isaiah 34, and on and on. You see, here is Jesus saying, my coming in judgment, my coming with the angels, is going to be the same kind of coming that I've seen my Father act and perform. But the Father had never, ever come visibly, bodily, physically. Hey, get a copy of my book, Like Father, Like Son on Clouds of Glory. You will find an absolute treasure trove of documentation demonstrating that Jesus never predicted that he was going to come back to earth in a physical, literal, human body. He was going to come in the glory of the Father. Hey, thanks for joining me for today's program. Hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.